I'm Mary Middlefield. I'm a singer-songwriter from Switzerland, and my record, Thank You, Alexander, is coming out March 3rd. I always kind of felt not in my place in the classical music world and the genre. Everything's very elite, people are very judgy, and I had a lot of trouble with that. Like, my mental health wasn't doing very well. I remember I had a lot of stage anxiety. I just it wasn't good for me. And at one point during the pandemic, I was dealing with a lot of personal shit. And my favorite music personally has always been folk. I love folk. And I started learning guitar. I have always like written stuff, improvised, writing melodies, doing all that shit. I always did it, but I never like imagined a career. And during the pandemic, I just started writing and I couldn't stop. And at one point I thought maybe this is something I should lean into. I think both things come kind of together at the same time. I usually start with lyrics first. Sometimes I write every day, sometimes I don't write for weeks, which is the case right now. I haven't written anything in weeks. But yeah, usually I'm very haunted by something. Like something's in my gut, on my mind. I'm very uncomfortable and I'll start writing, see what comes out of it. Leave it for a couple of days, come back to it, redraft, constantly redraft, and then once I have like a version of the lyrics I like, I will start thinking immediately how I want it produced, what the arrangement will kind of look like, and then I usually call my producer up and we start working on it as soon as both of us can. It depends. It really depends. I have a whole like file of things, just a bunch of sentences that sometimes I can puzzle together. But most of the songs that are actually on the record were like just written as like on the whim, in the whim moment. Like I just had like my notebook with me and I started writing the lyrics down and made a couple of changes to the initial draft. Yeah, and that, I mean, there's something. I love my notes app, and I love writing down on notes when I don't have the physical, like if I don't have a notebook or a pen or a paper around me. But the fact, like, the thing is, to me at least, putting pen to paper, pain to paper, is so much more cathartic, and everything comes so much quicker at the end of the day. So I think that's also why I managed to like write everything down all at once and not think too much of it. You know, I've actually been thinking about this like for a couple of months now. I think I have better lyrics now than I do have on the record, but if I have to choose one from the record, it's the line that says, "I get nightmares when I daydream." I love it. I think it's really cool and really expresses and shows what my brain looks like. I really do, actually. I haven't had the chance to perform a lot of these songs out on stage. We'll talk more about it. I did film a couple of live sessions, but in this case, we did this infamous song, "Mr. John," which is one of my favorites on the record. I did have a tough time singing it at some point because reliving it is not always very nice. But I think we're at a point now where we can just think of it as a song, not really something that happened to me. I think we can kind of classify it. Like I have classes of genres of albums, and I can pick a favorite out of those depending on what my mood is. I love Radiohead. For me, Radiohead is an entire genre. And if I have to pick out one today, I'd guess uh, OK Computer. It's basic. It's a fucking master. It's a fucking masterpiece. Best album out there. Grace by Jeff Buckley is one of my Jeff Buckley as a whole, but Grace, that album is a big influence of mine. I love Jeff Buckley. I think he really was a musician gone too soon. And yeah, love Jeff Buckley. Um, One album that really got me into songwriting was Joni Mitchell's Blue, which has one of the most amazing songwriting like top lines like everything I've ever heard is just like it's in that record. A Stranger in the Alps by Phoebe Bridgers changed my life completely. Love that album. Love Punisher, but Stranger just hits harder. as a last one, I might say just, it's not even a guilty pleasure one, but one I've been obsessing for a while now is Notes in a Conditional Form by the 1975. Not really. I will listen to it if I need some inspiration on what I need for my music, or when I need like some kind of reminder of what I studied a couple of years ago. But it's not something that really like touches me profoundly, I guess. Maybe just because I'm so immune to it now. I used to love it a lot, but I just think I'm very immune to it at this point because I've done it over and over. I've done everything over and over again. I know all the repertoire, and yeah, I can't bring myself to listen to it anymore. I think it's more a classical traumatized kid more than anything else. The pandemic definitely played a big part in it because I had nothing to do. I had no shows. I had nothing. Like nobody was listening to me play anyway. All I could do was sit in a practice room all day. But in the beginning, I actually loved lockdown and quarantine. I think I really found like my flow in it. I know a lot of people are gonna hate on me for saying this, but I really loved it in a way that I really found some inner peace. And the actual like catalyst of all of that, then I got dumped. Which I'm just like I got dumped. I say dumped because it sounds so dumb. Like I would switch careers because I got dumped and I decided to write songs about it. That's how ridiculous it sounds. And it's really ironic, but it was a big catalyst at that time. And I'm forever grateful to the person who dumped me. Yes, there's a couple of tracks in it. For me, that was really important actually to keep some of the stuff that I like from classical music and that I enjoy to like keep it in my musical work. I'd have to say Radiohead, Joni Mitchell, and Jeff Buckley. So there's a lot of small things coming up I'm really excited about. A new music video will appear at one point. I have a little live session that will come out soon. So I'm very excited about that. I'll be doing some gigs around here at home in Switzerland, which I'm very excited about. I love Switzerland. I still have a lot of music that needs to come out. So that's all I can say about it.